Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into what is arguably one of the most fascinating stories in all of human history, the rise and fall of the Roman Empire. We're going to trace that unbelievable contrast between its really modest, almost unbelievable beginnings, all the way to its staggering global dominance. So, let's jump right into the pivotal moments that literally shaped the ancient world.
I mean, think about it. How exactly did a tiny cluster of humble huts turn into a global superpower? It's kind of hard to fathom, right? Because when we think of Rome, we inherently picture vast wealth, pristine marble and gleaming gold. But it actually started as this muddy, swampy little village right next to the Tiber River. We're going to unpack exactly how that staggering transformation took place.
Okay, let's dive into this timeline. Between the traditional birth of Rome in 753 BC and the devastating collapse of the Western Empire in 476 AD, we've got well over 1,000 years of pure ambition, massive engineering, brutal conquest, and ultimately, ruin. This is our roadmap for today as we explore the soaring heights and those really crashing lows of an incredible civilization.
Part 1. The birth of the Republic.
So, going back to 753 BC, the legendary founder Romulus and those very early settlers staked their claim on Palatine Hill. And this wasn't a time of grand columns or sweeping architecture. Not at all. This was a moment of raw, brutal survival. By building those very first simple structures, those humble huts, they were unwittingly planting the seed of what would, against all odds, become an absolutely unstoppable empire. Now, political power evolved rapidly, and the true engine of the new republic became the Roman Senate. Actually, keep in mind this wasn't a democracy like we know it today. It was more of an oligarchy made up of wealthy patricians. These guys forged the laws of the ancient world through intense rhetoric and passionate debate. Meanwhile, the everyday citizens, the plebeians, they'd literally just gather outside, hoping to catch the echoes of that immense power going on inside. Part 2. The rise of the Caesars. Well, you simply can't talk about the rise of Rome without talking about its military machine. The Roman legionary was the absolute backbone of this expansion. We're talking about highly disciplined forces that were just terrifyingly efficient. In fact, these legionaries carried so much of their own camp-building equipment and rations right on their backs that they earned the nickname Marius's Mules. Their flawless formations and sheer engineering prowess made them completely unmatched anywhere in the ancient world. But here's the catch. When military success abroad started translating into absolute power back home, the Republic effectively died. Julius Caesar's triumphant return, it wasn't just some massive parade. It was the definitive turning point where Rome officially shifted from a republic of laws to an empire ruled by dictators. Sure, the cheering crowds were celebrating their victor, but they were also witnessing a fundamental, irreversible change in how their entire world was going to be governed moving forward.
Part 3. A cinematic golden age.
So under Emperor Augustus, Rome hit its absolute zenith. The metropolis actually swelled to over 1 million people. To put that into perspective, that's a scale of urban density that literally wouldn't be seen again anywhere in the world until Victorian London. Those humble mud huts we talked about earlier, entirely replaced. Now you have magnificent structures like the Colosseum, these grand towering temples, and bustling markets just overflowing with wealthy goods from every corner of the known world. And this brilliantly illustrates how this incredible society was maintained. Unparalleled engineering. We are talking about massive aqueducts moving fresh water for miles and miles, incredibly sturdy stone bridges, and paved roads that connected, well, pretty much every corner of the empire. Think about this for a second. Parts of the modern highway networks that we drive on in Europe today, they're still built directly over the foundational rocks laid by those ancient Roman engineers. It's just wild. Part 4. Collapse of the Empire.
But as history shows us, a golden age is deeply, deeply fragile. That bustling prosperity eventually gave way to massive political instability. We're talking endless civil wars, severe overexpansion, and crippling hyperinflation that drained the treasury entirely dry. So, as the politicians are inside arguing and the citizens are panicking over their immediate survival, the real existential threat was gathering right on their borders.
Because empires rarely fall overnight, right? They kind of rot from within before they're ever conquered from without. First comes that internal instability and financial ruin, which leaves the core totally vulnerable. Then the external threat strikes, like those Visigoth warriors who eventually stormed Rome's weakened gates. That led to just utter chaos, desperate defenses, and literal fire in the streets. Which brings us right to 476 AD. That is the year that marks the definitive, tragic collapse of the Western Roman Empire.
The aftermath of all that chaos was just a quiet, empty landscape. Those grand temples we saw earlier were totally abandoned. Beautiful statues lay broken, and the legendary Roman eagle standard was basically just left in the dirt. It's honestly such a poignant reminder that no matter how powerful, vast, or seemingly invincible a civilization becomes, it is never, ever immune to the forces of time.
Part 5. Rome's Eternal Legacy. So the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that while the physical empire fell, its ideas definitely did not. Rome really became the absolute blueprint for the modern world. Their grand architecture still inspires our Capitol buildings. Their legal concepts lay the foundational bedrock for our modern justice systems. And those early experiments in the Republic heavily influence how we govern ourselves today. The physical city might have burned, but its legacy totally endured. So what about you? Which Roman influence do you see most in your daily life? Is it maybe the layout of your city's roads, the language you speak, or even the architecture of your local courthouse? Take a look around you today. You might just be surprised. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep looking for those historical connections,